Good evening. I would like to call this meeting to order. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Okay, Leo Biasucci.
Here.
Jason Keogh.
Here.
Rick Knotts.
Here.
Ashley Pasquale.
Here.
Robert Smith.
Here.
Chuck Vaughn.
Here.
Scott Welty.
Here.
Mark Zeef.
Here.
And Samantha Zilberman.
Here.
Thank you.
And Ms. Silberman, would you like to introduce yourself as the new member on the board?
Hi, I'm a junior at the high school. My name is Samantha Zilberman, and I'm really excited to be here today.
Welcome. It's nice to have a youth representative on the board again. Okay, this is the time for the call to the public. Does anyone from the public wish to speak to the board?
I was going to do it last, but I might as well get it over with. My name's Doug Carr. I'm with the Lake Havasu City Pickleball Association, and we're having our annual pickleball tournament next weekend, the 9th, 10th, and 11th, and there'll be about 150 participants. And today alone in Lake Havasu, there was probably 120 people playing pickleball throughout the community. So I don't know if you're aware of that, but pickleball is pretty active, and good weather is very helpful. Been working with the city, and we got a new shade structure put up today, and I want to thank Mike for that, and Ken and his crew. Other than that, thanks.
That's fantastic. Thank you. Anyone else? Do you need him to say his name or anything? Oh, you did. Okay. Okay, thank you. Next on the agenda is approval of January 22nd, 2018 meeting minutes.
Motion to approve.
Thank you. Thank you. It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Okay, and now we're on to the staff report. Mr. Keene?
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Youth Spring Break Camp for grades K through 8 will be held at Starline Elementary, and the registration for that will begin Monday, this morning, February 26th. The Oro Grande After School Program participants will perform The Wizard of Oz on Friday, March 16th. The Youth Basketball League will play their final games on Friday, March 2nd, and will have an end-of-the-season pizza and swim party afterwards. Learn to Swim lessons are full for March. Kinderswim will be offered all month, and we'd like to thank the Rotary Club for their sponsorship. They sponsor $7,000 towards that program to teach all our kindergartners around town how to swim for a period of time. The Nova graduation and swim party will be held on March 2nd. Adult archery classes will be offered March 7th through the 14th from noon to 2 in the Relics and Rods Hall. We did, as a recreation department, receive 2 grants from the National Recreation and Parks Association. They were a Walk with Ease program and a Fit and Strong program. Both those programs, the grants were to train our staff on how to conduct those classes, and those will both start in March. As far as some community center activities, the Nova graduation again is March 2nd. The community town hall on water rights will be March 5th. There's an Art Guild Spring show March 9th through the 11th. The home show is March 16th through the 18th. The Western Welcome Bunko will be held on March 19th. And the Arizona Collectibles and Firearms Show will be March 24th and 25th. And some additional spring break activities that will be held during the week of spring break for Lake Havasu students. That's March 19th, 20th, 21st, 22nd, and 23rd. We're going to offer some open swims during that week at the pool from 1 to 4 at a discounted rate of $250 per participant. Just for those of you that are not aware, the normal rate is $450. So just a little discounted rate as another activity to do. On Thursday, we'll be having a 6th through 8th grade only swim party. There will be games, music, and some food provided during that time from 1 to 4. Friday evening, for the 9th to 12th graders, there will be a dive-in movie. We'll be showing Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Men Don't Tell, from 6 to 9 p.m. We will also be offering a fishing tournament at the Bridgewater Links golf courses from 3:30 to 5:30 on Tuesday. And on Wednesday, we'll be offering a 3-on-3 basketball tournament from 1 to 4:30 p.m. So there's just kind of a few extra activities that will be added during that week to keep the students busy while they're out of school. And that concludes my report.
Mr. Keene, was this announced at the elementary and middle schools or junior high?
We will be passing them out. We just kind of finalized this flyer actually this morning. So.
Okay. It's great to see those activities. Did any board members have questions or comments?
Yeah, Madam Chair.
Mr.
question.
Biasucci?
For the town hall for the water rights on March 5th, what time is that at? And is that the aquatic center?
At 5:30 at the aquatic
At
center.
the aquatic center. Perfect. Thank you.
Mr. Keel?
Yes. You mentioned the spring break program at the elementary schools. Is that right?
Correct.
And it will include grades K through 8 this year?
That is correct. It's a little addition. Traditionally, our camps run K through 6. One of the requests this year was to extend that for K through 8th.
Okay, thanks.
Madam Chair, may I?
Yes.
So I see that there's grade restrictions for the swim party and the dive-in movie, but are all the other ones open to any age?
Yes, they are.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you. The Trail Subcommittee report?
I don't have a whole lot to report here. We did not meet this past month, but a couple members did attend the MPO meeting on February 20th, where the bicycle and pedestrian implementation plan was, some of those study results were compiled and given out. I was actually unfortunately not able to make that meeting, so I don't have a whole report on what that meeting entailed, but I do know a couple of the members were at that meeting, so I'll hopefully be able to get an overview and bring that forward upcoming meetings.
Are you able to talk now about the next steps with that, or could that be a future agenda item where we're going with the MPO?
Yeah, we'd probably make that a future agenda item.
Okay. Any questions on the Trails Committee report? Okay, thank you, Mr. Keene. We'll move into our public hearings. The first is a discussion on Rotary Park signage.
Sorry about that. Sherry and I went and took an inventory, so thank you for going out and walking the park with me, Sherry. We did unfortunately pick the only one day it has decided to sprinkle and was a little chilly to walk around the park. Felt good for me. I think Sherry was a little cold. So we do currently have 32 no smoking signs throughout Rotary Park. You kind of see a wide variety of them here. They are at all the entrances to to Rotary Park. They are on all the cabanas. They are also on the ball fields, the playgrounds, the restrooms. So again, there's 32 of them throughout the park. There are a couple I'm working with the sign shop and getting shifted around as far as so that they can be better seen at some of the bleachers around the ball field, as well as the bigger park or the bigger playground. There's just one sign there, and I think there could be another one where the kids are entering the park, the playground itself. So I'm working with them on some adjustments to those signs. The no dog signs, there are currently 21 signs throughout the park. Again, focusing on the entranceways where people would be first noticing that they should not have a dog. So the welcome to Rotary Park signs, there are 12 of them printed onto the concrete if you're walking into the park itself from all 3 entrances. There are the no dogs allowed signs at several of the parking lots, as well as down, as you can see, on the beach sign there as well. So there's, as you can tell, quite a few signs throughout that park. With that, I will take any questions.
No, not a question yet, but I think if you feel that there's enough adequate signs, then I think I agree, and I just applaud you on what you guys did out there. Good job.
Thanks. And again, we are doing some tweaking of moving a couple of around to make them a little more visible.
Go ahead. Yes.
Any comment back from the SWAT group on whether or not the signs have proven beneficial?
I haven't heard directly from the SWAT group itself. I've heard from some individuals that don't think the signs did quite help as much as anticipated. The liaison with SWAT has been out on maternity leave, and I know we just are working on scheduling another event mid-March where they'll be down there campaigning and hoping that some of the students, make the right choices.
Yes, go ahead, Mr. Knotts.
Are there butt containers entering the park for people to get rid of their cigarettes when they see the sign? That's kind of a mixed thing there, because you also don't want to encourage people just to stand there and smoke that everyone has to walk through to get into the park. But just curious if there's a place to.
I do not believe there are currently. It's something we can definitely look into.
Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Vaughn.
Yeah, Mike, you said the signs, there's so many notes, says no smoking. Are you including the ones that say lungs at work and everything else, or is this strictly just says no smoking?
I have combined the two of them. There are 7 strictly with the no smoking in the circle with a big line through it, and then there are 25 of the youth at play, thank you for not smoking.
Okay. Now, do they have at the 3 entrances, the one down by the skate park, the one at Smoke Tree, and the walking one coming out of the channel? And that, is there a sign there with a circle and the line through it?
Correct. The circles and the lines through them were to be a little bit more aggressive at the entranceways, and then throughout the park to be a little bit more polite.
Okay. Can you tell me approximate size of those signs? 24 by 24, 24 by 12.
Yeah, there are a few different sizes.
The ones at the entrance mainly.
Okay. They're the exact same size as a handicap parking sign. So I want to say that's.
Are you talking about one of the blue ones that sits on a pole?
Correct.
So they're only about like this.
Correct.
And that, okay. That's if they can't see that, of course, people, they can't pay attention to most things anyway. They're gawking at everything else. But yeah, it sounds like you've got a handle on the signs more now, because the ones we were really had thought about was the ones going into the big playground and the ones going into the one going into the skate park. Did you notice that one over there too? That you really don't see it going in?
Yes, there's And that's another area that we'll do a little bit of adjustment based on where you're entering the skate park itself.
Okay. Now, I know the dog signs you said and the smoking signs, is there no alcohol signs up there too?
There are as you enter as part of the rule sign, as well as down on the beaches.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Is there a camp post posted there currently? Or is it called camp?
It is a camp host.
Okay.
I didn't know if there was one there currently, but yes, they're regularly throughout the winter, and surprisingly, we get quite a few that stop in the summer
Okay.
as well. And one of the give backs of that is that they give 20 hours of work to the city, and so one of the big jobs that they get to do in Rotary is remind people that dogs aren't allowed.
I was leading into that question, if the signs might be helpful to at least be able to refer people to the signs that are nearby.
Exactly. I think it helps the host out quite a bit.
Okay. Well, thank you for providing that. I know that was a request of the board from last time. Were there any other comments or questions? Mr. Vaughn?
One more question. You said, I didn't know there was a camp host out there, but do they have pamphlets that the camp host has that they can hand out to these people? Because if somebody just walks up to them with a dog or smoking or whatever, smoking, of course, is policy, but with a dog, and they say, there's no dogs allowed, they'll, give them a single finger digit and walk off. But if they would hand them have a pamphlet from the city saying, here's the rules of the park or something like that, do you know if they have anything like that?
I don't know that they actually pass anything out. They do wear most of the time a city vest, so they're kind of look like a city employee, and then they do have the non-emergency contact number if they needed to contact an officer. I would be afraid if you gave them a pamphlet, it'd just end up on the ground.
I'd like to say something as a non-biased observer. Always down there, the host is there. The maintenance crew of operations pick up the trash for 4 or 5 hours through the day. So there's always somebody there that can help the camp host. They're definitely not shy in telling people no dogs. So their verbal, conversations to people is constant. And every time I see a dog over there, they're on top of it. So adding more signs is not necessary because they've got a good patrol on Rotary. I agree. And especially since they just added the signs that you suggested to add. I think that that's good. And, I definitely see them working to help the park out.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions on this item? Anyone from the public that would like to speak on this item? Okay, thank you. The next discussion is updates on projects. Cypress Park first.
Cypress Park is coming along very nicely, very quickly here. We're getting close to the end. The asphalt placement is 33% complete. Parking lot C was actually paved today. I tried to drive by to take a look at it, and the road was closed, so I couldn't get through to take a look. The tree installation is 95% complete. Curb and gutter is 95% complete. Sidewalks are 95% complete. The restroom building is 95% complete. The retaining walls are completed. The sod installation is completed. The sports field and pathway lighting is completed. Therefore, the project is 95% plus completed overall, and everything is on track and will be ready for the ribbon cutting ceremony, which will be held on March 14th at 10 a.m. And that will lead into our first soccer tournament there, which will be the weekend of April 6th. So again, that ribbon cutting is March 14th at 10 a.m.
Madam Chair. Sorry.
Mr. Pasucci?
No, real quick, I did stop by there last week, and that grass looks absolutely amazing. So if we could just not play on it at all, maybe just.
I think I know some turf maintenance guys that are right there with you.
Right. So great. They've been doing a great job. So thank you. Well done.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
are
Councilwoman.
the bathrooms going to be locked at a certain time?
I don't have a direct answer to that. They are in the rest of our park, so I'm going to go with the assumption of yes, but I have not actually looked at the specific lock.
So somebody will come at night and lock them?
Usually they lock automatically.
Oh, okay.
They're on a timer.
Okay.
Yes, go ahead.
I actually live in the area, and all of my neighbors and stuff that we've been talking about it, everyone has been very impressed with how the park is turning out and also how well construction has gone by. And I just wanted to say good job.
Thank you. Those are always nice to hear.
Yes, Mr. Vaughn?
Yeah, Mike, do you know approximately, how big is the park? How many acres?
I want to say it's slightly over 3 acres.
3 acres. Do you know how many trees per acre they put in? And doesn't the city have their own tree farm kind of thing?
I could not answer that question. These trees were provided by the general contractor.
Oh, okay.
They're mostly palm trees, and we do have some lower vegetation in the parking lot as well. Our horticulturists were involved in that decision making of what style of vegetation to put in based off of water usage and what survives here in Lake Havasu.
Okay. So did they leave room to put in, so if people want to, have a tree in somebody's name or a bench and all that kind of stuff, they got plenty of room that people could use that park as their designation?
We'll definitely have plenty of room for memorial benches. I'm not quite sure on the trees currently.
Okay.
Madam Chair,
Councilwoman?
have we turned the lights on?
I am not exactly sure if the engineering firm has turned the lights on yet or not.
Okay.
I just got an email the other day of how the program that we're going to utilize and the training that we can go through. So we ourselves have not turned it on. I'm not sure if Musco has tested them yet or not.
Any other questions on Cypress Park?
Madam Chair, will anybody be there out of this group for the ribbon cutting?
Yes, I will be there.
Perfect.
I'm on it.
Cool. All right, just checking.
Oh, sorry, Mr. Vaughn.
One more, and we have plenty of trash cans and posts for dog bags. Remember he said for people that walk on their dogs to pick up their messes and stuff like that?
Yes, sir. They are all provided along the walkway.
Any other questions? All right, it's exciting. It does look beautiful. Okay, so we'll move on to Sarah Park.
All right. As a city, we did receive the 90% design drawings from SWI Engineering, and staff is currently in the review process of those documents. I was looking through them, just kind of flipping through to find some that I could bring and show. There are over 200 pages of architectural drawings. Not exactly really exciting stuff, so there wasn't a whole lot to bring. So I'm going to go back to our original overall view of what the park will look like when completed. A couple things to note that during staff discussions have changed. The baseball field, the orientation of that field is looking directly into the sun in the afternoon and evening. So home plate will now be located over here, and the field will look this way so that we can get away from that blinding sun in the afternoon. We have been also working with Desert Hawks RC Club to try to cut out their area from the grading during phase one so that they won't have to necessarily move the air park and the RC car track that they just built in that first phase. Again, the first phase is basically draw a line straight down this parking lot, and everything on this side is phase one with the grading of phase two, and then everything over here is phase two of that project. The final design review are due back from SWI in May. We use the word final, but that's not true. It's really just what they are going to offer up as the design of the park. We'll go through then when it goes out to bid and really see what everything will cost and what we can afford and what we can't afford. So that'll be coming in the next few months. With that, I'll take any questions.
Madam Chair.
Yes, Councilwoman.
Right now we're just in the design phase, correct? So with the expenditure limitation going on the ballot in the upcoming election, is there anything else being done construction-wise? Are we waiting to see how that vote comes out? Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. The Community Investment Division will be bringing this as a CIP item during the CIP, work session to get direction on exactly when construction could be started, and with some of that would be based off my understanding is the permanent base adjustment and how that vote goes. The question being is we have the money to build the park. That is not a question. That is there. We will build it. If the permanent base adjustment does not change, we're not so sure we have the money to maintain the park. And it would be a shame to build something that you couldn't maintain and it would go to nothing. So that's kind of the questions. And again, that'll be coming to council in April there at the CIP meeting.
Will that discussion include fees to support the maintenance? I mean, will it be a comprehensive look at possibilities, or is it mainly going to be focused on the base adjustment?
I'm not sure at this point how the Community Investment Department is going to present that. If it is more just going to be what the costs are and how can we, and then is it a matter of how can we recoup them, or is it just the fact that that's what we'll be spending? Because remember, even if we recoup the costs, it still counts against the number that we're spending. So the base adjustment would still be we would run into that problem.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
With this, it's not going to affect the Speedway, but 928 Mini, has there been a decision on what and where they're going?
There has not been decision on that yet. We are still in discussions with them. We are hoping to get a meeting planned with them. They have some site plans across the street that they're of an area they were looking at. So we're still working with them.
Thank you.
Mr. Keene, can you remind us of what conversations occurred with those entities that are already out there, including Desert Hawks, prior to this decision being made?
I guess I can't because it was a little bit before my time. So the decision was made to put the parks in. I don't know what conversations had been happening with those, especially those two groups that are going to be impacted. I do know we've been working with both of the groups intently for over the last year to really work through concerns and possibilities of spaces that we could possibly move or they could move to. It has always been in the master plan that the RC planes, the Desert Hawks, would be across the street. That is built into the master plan. The MX track was an afterthought to put it there. My understanding is the conversations from the very beginning was that would be a temporary location.
What do you mean by across the street?
Across Dub Campbell Parkway. So across this street right here.
Okay. Any other questions, comments about Sarah Park? Okay. And the next project update is the Aquatic Center improvements.
Okay. This study was completed in June of 2016. It is a fairly comprehensive study. It's a living document to us. We're still utilizing it on a project-by-project basis to complete everything that is in it. Including our latest projects with it will be the ozone system, the replacement of that. That project did go out to bid. The bids came in at double the engineer's estimates, and we only received one bid, so we didn't feel real confident with accepting that bid. Ken and his MSD staff have done some prep work in hopes that possibly reduce the cost of that project coming forward. So that we're working on. During our annual shutdown, we did a complete rebuild of the bulkhead, which is another item suggested in the assessment of the facility. One of the other studies that we had done as a recommendation of this was the HVAC system throughout the auditorium. Those numbers came back very high because there's not much to the HVAC system there. There's no dehumidification, there's no air conditioning at all, it's just straight heat. So in the summer months, there's not a whole lot of true ventilation through there with the exception of what we can open the doors and turn the fans on. Definitely still a document that we use quite a bit on a regular basis. It was done very well.
Okay, thank you. Questions on the Aquatic Center? Okay. And then the field needs assessment study, please.
This study was completed in May of 2016. It was used as a basis to build Cypress Park and for the Sarah Park ball field expansions. The study showed that we had a deficiency in our soccer fields, and then that should be our number one priority in building fields, followed by softball and then by baseball. They used comparison numbers of nearby communities such as Avondale, Mesquite, Kingman, Bullhead City, and Goodyear. Once Cypress and both phases of Sarah Park are completed, we'll be very close to the recommended numbers from the study.
Questions, comments on the fields needs assessment?
I have a question.
Okay.
When was the last time that was taken? The assessment?
That study was completed in May of 2016.
Okay. Do you guys have plans to do a refresh study before the expenditure limitation vote to maybe? Or just
No.
keep it
Yeah,
weighted?
these are several $100,000 studies.
Yeah, that sounds
want
good.
to do a
There's
whole
no need
I
to
wouldn't
do
want to
any-
do a whole lot of them.
Yeah, no need to do more, so, all right, good.
Is your department, I guess, sort of keeping tabs on those communities that were used in the comparison study in terms of, for example, I saw in the Bullhead paper that the recent soccer tournament brought in some number of millions of dollars to the community. Just things like that, keeping tabs on it to show the economic possibilities.
Yes, to certainly keep an eye on not only the local ones. I prefer to use the numbers nationally of communities based off of population, the numbers that of parks and park space you should have. NRPA does a really good job of producing that data, but definitely for the economic impact of a local towns, we do keep an eye on and watch and see what they're doing.
Great. Any other questions? Mr. Vaughn? Thank you.
Yeah, that study didn't have anything in there about pickleball courts, did it?
The field study did not.
Yeah. I just wondering if they're, because what did they put in, 4 courts up there at Dick Stamp Park?
Phase 1 did include 4 courts,
Four
correct?
courts. And they don't have any plans right now for any more.
The master plan is for 16 courts at that facility.
Total, right.
Correct. There is nothing in the current budget for additional courts currently.
So those pickleball people better start getting on the council meetings if they want any more.
Any other comments or questions related to the fields? And then anyone from the public that wanted to comment on any of the project updates?
Again, Doug Carr. And so all these are going to be softball fields and one soccer field in phase 1.
These can be used as multi-use for the youth. Youth kids can use use these also as
Bobby socks and that kind of stuff.
correct, and
the
then
Little League,
and then
which-
2 minor or smaller soccer fields.
Right. And to Chuck, we're raising probably at least $50,000 for our next 4. And if you remember, the mayor and the city manager did promise us 8 courts with lights. So we only got 4 right now, but we're trying to get into the budget too, the CIP budget in the next fiscal to build 4 more courts. And so we're trying.
Yeah, I remember him promising that, but he didn't say when.
What was that? I'm sorry.
I said, I remember him promising that, but he didn't say it was going to be in our lifetime.
Yeah, well, I did ask the mayor, and then I did talk to the new city manager too. So, anyways, thank you.
Thank you.
At least they're doing like Tennell people did. They're out raising money to help the cause. You know, they want stuff. You know, if you have skin in the game, it helps.
Any other comments from the public? Okay, thank you. Oh my goodness. Future agenda items.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
So, I'm sure the list is long of heartbreak and frustration associated with the disappearance of Teen Break this year, and I'm wondering if we can start discussion on feasibility of bringing it back in the future.
Other agenda items?
If we can get an update on the short discussion we had as far as the channel light. Projected idea, I don't know what to call it.
When we left, we went back and reviewed the minutes. When we left that last time, it was really just going to be something we left in our hip pocket. What I heard from most of the board was that it wasn't a priority at this point, that there's many other things that we have coming up as priorities for that project. It's a great project. It's something to keep filed away as things loosen up and we have some available funds for a project like that.
Okay, so my understanding was that you were going to talk to some people down there, maybe some private entities or some commercial companies or something to get kind of a heads up. That's what I thought that we could discuss. Or maybe if you can get started asking people whether or not that'd be a good idea, if they'd be willing to invest. I don't know how you'd want to approach it. And to raise another point, the last time we looked at the channel maps, I was way off in my idea and plan. We're only in charge of the park, so I wanted to be in front of our park, not on any private property, something that maybe we could do for a parks project. And it would just, like a reminder, it's an illumination. But I thought maybe that we could kind of get the ball rolling because things might take a little while. And I wanted to see if it could come up in a discussion in a budget meeting for 2 years from now, because I know things have to get started. But I think whom I've talked to, it's a great idea. It's a great talking point. If you think it's a good future agenda item, Madam Chair, I'd love to have it put on there.
Yeah, I'm remembering a little bit of a different ending to that conversation too. So if it could be part of a future agenda item.
Madam Chair.
Oh, sorry. I was
That's it.
thinking yes.
No, sorry. Going back to the team break situation, was that just? And I didn't read the article in the paper, and I apologize. But was it more of a just numbers of participants was too far down to where it wasn't even possible anymore, or what was the main reason for pulling the plug?
For a short answer to this, as it wasn't really an agendized item, is yes, the numbers look pretty bad. The attendance has been cut in half. The expenses still maintain the same. The liability is increased. So really, we shifted focus a little bit more towards the younger kids who can't be left home alone, so the parents can work, and then added some additional activities um, for the children that are a little bit older, maybe not as extensive as a teen break, but some different activities that they would be able to do, as well as asking the community to step up and participate in those as well, and adding some different things around town.
Thank you.
Other items for future agendas?
Yes, I have another item I'd like to see put on an update, or how we're going to continue to approach, or how we're going to look at the surveys that we're doing for the non-motorized boat ramp. So we'll probably need an update next month and I'll try and get you more surveys done.
Ashley, for the MPO, can you be more specific?
Oh, yes. So I'm just maybe a follow-up on next steps. I know there was the online survey conducted, and then what Mr. Keene presented on the work session or presentation of the findings, or what that was. So what's next?
For the bicycle pedestrian plan, not necessarily for the MPO itself.
Okay, yes.
Oh, okay.
Right. Only, right.
Okay.
Only what was related to the that survey that we pushed and what might be coming because of it. Other agenda items? I guess my only request, if it's appropriate timing or when it is, an update on anything that was changed due to your budget recommendations or will be presented to City Council. They'll adopt in May or approve something in May.
Yeah, either late May or early June, they'll adopt the new budget.
Okay. Going once, going twice. All right.
Make a motion, we adjourn.
And the next meeting is?
The next meeting will be March 26th at 6 o'clock.
Okay. There's a motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Thank you.